Hi, my name is Brianna. This is my final Praxis presentation for PCS 308, and I ended up choosing active listening. A moment. Okay. So for the theory that I chose active listening as discussed, and active listening can be defined as actively in understanding the individual's feelings and emotions. Active listening techniques are as follows: making sure that your phone is put away, which is important, making sure that you avoid distractions, and making sure that your full attention is on that person. And here are some further techniques that I found to be helpful: paying attention, not interrupting, showing empathy, of course, showing interest, and using positive body language and withholding judgment. And lastly, maintaining eye contact, which is extremely important. Okay, so my experience practicing the chosen skill during this time period. Let's see. Go. During this time period, I heavily focused on incorporating active listening tasks throughout my daily routine. Throughout this time, I used active listening to ensure that I was giving people my full attention, and I also used the time period to practice not interrupting others, which I found to be very helpful in the long run. And lastly, I used active listening to summarize key points of what each individual had to say to me. That way, it showed them that I was fully engaged in our conversation. And here's some further techniques that you guys can see. Active listening can be you can see steps 1 through 8, listening and looking, listening for emotions, observing body language. I know that's hard to see. Paraphrasing, making sure that you're self-aware, and reflecting, asking questions, and of course, clarifying. Okay? Okay. So my experience during the skill, with the chosen skill during the action period of April 21st through April 28th. So on April 22nd, these are three specific examples that I have. On April 22nd, during class, I was able to practice my active listening through providing my full attention to my group members while processing what they had to say in order to form a proper response. And I also made sure that I made eye contact, which is important. I'm not that good at that, but I did try my best. On April 24th, I was able to catch up while I was able to catch up with my friends, I was able to practice active listening by providing them with my full attention and making sure that I made eye contact with them while I was speaking to them. Again, that was rather difficult. On April 25th, on this day, I had orientation for my new job at Chick-fil-A. During this time, I was able to make sure that I was carefully listening with them, keep my phone down, and making sure that I had made eye contact while speaking to my future employer. That was really important. And you can see right in the image as well some further ways you can do active listening. Okay. Now, here's the academic enhancement section. Okay. How did my experience practicing my chosen skill deepen my understanding of or challenge the theories or ideas or models? Okay. So my experience practicing active listening deepened my understanding of active listening through showing me that in order for individuals to use a skill on a frequent basis, it takes time and practice. It did challenge my belief that active listening does come naturally. And it showed me that, as we have discussed in class, it must be done in order for it to be done correctly. It has to be practiced, of course. Practice makes perfect. Okay. Did the real world fit the theory, or theory fit into the real world? How did my perceptions change? Okay, so in this particular case, I found that theory of active listening does fit into the real world, but only when I actively applied it to my daily tasks and activities, as I discussed previously. Throughout this experience, I have learned that active listening takes practice. And lastly, my perceptions definitely have changed on the matter due to previously thinking of active listening because I thought it came naturally. That's not the case. Okay. Um, did I have an aha moment? Okay. I did. Throughout the process, my aha moment would have had to been whenever I came to an understanding that individuals tend to respond more positively whenever I use active listening techniques, especially, for example, whenever I was in my job interview. That was another day that I didn't put on here. I definitely use active listening during that, and that is what I'm sure landed me the job, and that's where I'm at now. You can definitely see some more active listening skills. I definitely used some of these during that time, such as summarizing what he had to say, what he had asked me, and um, being empathetic, giving them 100% attention. That was a big one that definitely helped out. And lastly, another one I like to point out is definitely observing the body language. That I did not realize how helpful that was to help me with the job interview. Okay, moving forward. Okay, personal growth. Okay, trying to move this out the way. Okay, how does my experience practicing my chosen skill help me to learn about myself? Perhaps including some of my strengths, weaknesses, likes, or even dislikes, assumptions, skills, or conventions. I did all of them. So here's some strengths. I was able to practice empathy while being engaged in conversations. That was a big one. Next, as for weaknesses, I am an overthinker, and I do tend to prepare for the responses in advance, which can lead me to becoming lost in the conversation and even cause me to become distracted or disassociated. For my likes, I do enjoy having a deeper conversation with others, and in most cases, I'm pretty comfortable when it comes to providing input in conversations. For assumptions, I did assume that in the past, active listening came naturally, which is simply not the case. And for skills throughout this process of the project, for PCS 308, I was able to improve my active listening through asking questions and making sure that I was present in each conversation that I had had. And so here are two convictions that I have. Oh goodness, sorry. Sorry, one moment. Technical difficulties. Okay, there we go. Everyone has a right to feel respected, and active listening is extremely important in all conversations. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Okay. Um, so how does it help me to think about who I am and who I want to be as a professional or personal capacity, and what do I want to do about that? As a whole, this experience has shown me that I how to better improve my communication skills in order to better do better in my professional career as a healthcare provider. For me specifically, I'm thinking respiratory therapy. Um, Overall, it has helped me to fully understand that I want to be someone who listens with their full attention span and gives and also give and provide empathy to others. Okay. This is the civic development section. Okay. Okay. So you can see the little image right there. Um, how have I learned more about my relationships with others at home, at work, and throughout my community? Yes, I have learned more about these specific aspects, and they are as follows. At home, first, better communication between family members allows fewer misunderstandings to occur. I was able to practice this at home as well. During work, specifically during the job interview, finding a new job, that sort of thing. Active listening, specifically during the orientation, helps me to learn better skills that are needed for the job I'm about to complete and allows me to work better as a team with my fellow coworkers. Okay. Um, Throughout the community, understanding that active listening helps those in the community to feel that more connected with me throughout the conversations that are held. Okay. Um, how does my experience help me to think about my role in society? Okay. My experience has helped me with my role in society in the following ways. This experience has taught me that I need to listen with respect in situations in order to have a stronger and more effective dialogue between both parties. It's also taught me that practicing both active listening allows me to strengthen my empathy towards others, which is really important. And lastly, this experience as a whole has taught me how to emphasize the importance of being understood and valued, whether that be as a speaker or even the listener. Trying to move my way. Okay. Did you have any insights about change agency, power, privilege, leadership, economic and political systems, community organizations or organizing, public solving, social justice, or ethic of care? So I specifically for this question focused on civic insights. This experience has further emphasized the importance of showing respect to others and practicing active listening. And this experience also taught me that both parties have better understanding with one another, that they're more likely to work better with one another if active listening is to occur. Um, Setting new learning goals section. Okay. Um, Now that I've reflected on my experience, what do I want to understand, explore, or experience? And what are some new questions that arise for me? So these are some of the things that I would like to mention. I would like to understand how to properly use active listening in conversations that are more difficult, especially when new conflicts are to arise. I would like to experience practicing active listening in a professional career setting. And lastly, I would like to explore how to practice active listening in healthcare, as that would be my future career, specifically in respiratory therapy or something of that nature. Um, I have two questions. So, how can active listening be used on individuals that come from a different culture? That's important. And lastly, even in such stressful situations, how can I remain fully present without disassociating and making sure that I use active listening during those hard conversations? Okay. So, how are you going to continue learning about this beyond the experience? So, I'm going to continue to learn throughout this, beyond this experience through the following aspects. I'm going to continue to practice it because I found it very helpful and I'm pretty sure it helped me land the job um, on a frequent basis. My goal is daily, but it's going to be challenging. Staying fully present in the moment, that's very important, and not zoning out during conversations. I'm very guilty of that. I will definitely try my best not to do that. And lastly, making sure that I am continuously asking those around me for feedback about my responses that I give to see if I have improved on my active listening skills or not. Okay. So I have learned that active listening requires true and effective communication between all parties involved. And active listening does not come naturally and is something that must be practiced in order for it to be perfect. And in all honesty, it will never be fully perfect. You simply try your best. And I learned this when I practice active listening in the following areas. Say, for example, in class, in group discussions, all of my friends, and at my new job orientation. Okay. This learning matters because it increases my communication skills that can be used practically in everyday situations. And it allows me to have a better understanding of conversations that are currently at hand. And it lowers the chance of misunderstanding from occurring. And in light of learning this, as discussed throughout the presentation, ample times, I will continue to practice active listening to make sure that I'm fully present in conversations while ensuring that those around me feel heard and respected, which is very important. And here's my works cited, and that is it. Thank you.